Whispers of Fernandez creep, Lansing goes fast complete. Dirty noise loud and clear, big God conquers fear. Feels like the end is near, as England sheds another tear. Time is right, lift the global trophy high. Underneath the ring of lights, feel formations unify. World united till we die. Get it on! 25!
Well, we have had 7 weeks of football so far here at the 2025 Global Trophy. 24 teams have secured their spot in next week's final. We have 8 spots left, so it's time to fill them. Here is our last qualifiers to round off our 32 in the Global Trophy finals next week. Welcome, everyone, to the Global Trophy 2025 Americas qualifiers. I'm Masterath, and I am joined alongside
Sam Elliott, 64, and yes, last week, of course, we saw Senegal upset the apple cart and defeating Nigeria in the African section final. Nigeria, of course, who I kind of telegraphed right from the get-go, they're making the final. They did, but they didn't bank on taking on a very impressive Senegal, who took their 5th African title.
Yep, and their second in 3 years as well for Senegal. So, certainly a team on form. And, of course, a couple of years ago, they beat Brazil in the Global Trophy finals. I think in the round of 16 to get to the top 8. So, certainly a team to watch, I think, Senegal. Certainly.
I think so. They've featured, late on in the competition on a number of occasions, so there'll be ones to keep an eye out for, as will obviously Nigeria, of course. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. We are here to talk about the Americas section, of course, the last qualification group for the Global Trophy finals next week.
Indeed, and after, well, as usual, a very hectic preliminary league back last month, we have got our dud team, and it's a bit of a shocker of a dud team, Sam, as we were there for. We weren't expecting this team to do as badly as they did.
Yeah, it's crazy. So our dud team are not Suriname. It is St. Kitts and Nevis, who, of course, were on YouTube, of course, a top 16 placing in the Global Trophy finals in the past. So
yeah, I think 2 years ago.
Yeah, so the fact that they're a dud team in the Americas section is quite startling.
Yeah, and Suriname failed to qualify, finished 11th as well. Absolute crazy, again, as usual from the Americas qualifiers. Next up, we have Guyana scraping through in 7th place in the preliminary league.
Yeah, they managed to survive in the end, but, credit to Guyana, they were never really in danger, were they? They kind of slipped down towards the end, of course. They kind of got into trouble, but they were never out of that kind of top group, were they?
Certainly, they had a bit of a shake, but they steadied the ship enough to finish in 7th place and have a chance to go through to the Global Trophy finals. Of course, right now, our current dud team for the finals is Namibia right now, but remember last year, our dud team was from the Americas, so could that be the case this year as well?
Well, absolutely. It's getting crazy.
Next up, a team that has grabbed that brass ring with both hands, returning to the Global Trophy Preliminary League and finishing in 6th place. It's Aruba. They're back.
Yeah, back and with a bang, and they can actually qualify for the Global Trophy finals. Wouldn't that be a story? They missed out from even participating in the Global Trophy over the last few years, but they're back, and imagine if they qualified for the finals and were able to compete. It'd be quite the story, wouldn't it?
Certainly would for a team like Aruba, FIFA ranked 194. To be able to
They're barely above San Marino.
Yeah. They're like 17 above San Marino. It's not much. Next up, finishing 5th place in the preliminary league, it is Bermuda.
Yeah, they did well, didn't they? They were never really in trouble. They only lost twice, was it? Or once?
Only once, I believe. They were the team that got them so many draws, weren't they?
Yes, they drew, of their first 7 games, they either won 1-0 or drew 1-1. It was crazy.
Yeah, they drew 6 of them, or they did 2 and 5.
It was nuts, wasn't it? But Bermuda almost went unbeaten, didn't they, in the preliminary league? Didn't quite manage it, but they successfully qualified, so that's all that counts.
Yep. Next up, 4th place, it's Grenada.
Yeah, Grenada. Again, we're never really in trouble. Kind of like Guyana, really. They were kind of always in that, top 8 and never really slipped out of it, and that's always a good thing. So, yeah, we'll see.
Next up, I think big props to this team for finishing as high as they did. Multiple times they've been a dud team in the Americas qualifiers. They weren't last year, and this year they finished 3rd. An amazing performance by Cuba.
Yeah, Cuba were probably the darlings of the America's preliminary league, weren't they? They were superb throughout. They were able to get, result after result, and look at them here, able to compete. One of those teams that could navigate their way to the Global Trophy finals.
Yeah, and for the first time, I think, in a while, comfortably doing that as well. They finished very much above the chasing pack.
Absolutely.
Next up, second place in the preliminary league. It is former preliminary league champions Barbados.
Yeah, Barbados, always one of the favourites when it comes to the America's preliminary league, and so it proved this time around as well. They were able to qualify with little issues, really, weren't they? And but they weren't able to win it. They missed out, losing out to our next team, which is St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Yep, the champions of the preliminary league this year, finishing, I think, 4-5 points ahead of Barbados?
Yeah, it wasn't much. I think they obviously lost 2 games, did they, in the end, I believe? Not sure.
Yeah, certainly was not much at all there for St. Vincent. Sorry, I almost thought I pulled a Greece.
Oh, no, they're fine, don't worry.
No, I almost thought I pulled a Greece and put a team in the preliminaries that shouldn't have been. But luckily, I thought that Nicaragua and this next team were the same, but they're not. It's Guatemala.
They're not the same, but on FIFA ranking, of course, Guatemala do not have to pre-qualify. They have had to in the past, I believe, Guatemala.
Yes, they have. And they have previously made it to the Global Trophy Finals. This was Sofa era. This was like old man chair era. So this is before you could see the results. So
I know,
I
used to have to listen to.
2019, I think, Global Trophy. They did make it to the finals.
There you go. So since it's been on YouTube, they have done, but not for a while, certainly.
Yeah, only the once, I believe. Next up, a team that quite famously was in the World Cup. What was it, like 20 odd years ago? Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah, they played England, if I remember correctly. I remember I was
in
in
England's group. Yeah.
So back when I was at school, certainly, because I'm from a particular part of England, I had a middle school. So year 5 to year 8 was middle school, and basically what happened was
Bloody Cheshire
like
people.
Worcestershire.
Oh.
Anyway,
I didn't know they were that posh.
apparently we are. So and basically we had this activities week where you could go away to a outdoor centre sort of thing with some people in your year group, and at the time the World Cup was on. So when we went to this activities week, they had us all sat in a hall and we watched Trinidad and Tobago playing England, and there was one bloke who was Trinidadian in there. And when England scored, everyone started pointing, giving the who are you sort of thing. It was so funny.
Oh jeez.
We're like 10 years old. It's fine. He enjoyed it.
I think one of my experiences when it comes to the World Cup in school, because it was also the 2002 World Cup, is that we watched the England-Brazil
match. Brazil game. Yeah, we did as well. They brought a TV into the main hall. Yeah, good times.
Yeah, they did the exact same thing with us. Yeah.
It's so good. I mean, nowadays, because particularly with the Qatar World Cup and with the Euros to a lesser extent, obviously you can watch it all online, right? So whilst I was at work, you have your, obviously your desktop open. I've got 3 screens. One of my screens was the Euros. It was great.
Yeah. And any members of management saying about oh, trust me, management was doing the exact same thing.
They encouraged it. They actually had it on the I had it on the TVs in the room as well. I just liked having my own personal screen for it. Yeah. It was great.
Yeah, that's what happened in the World Cup at the place I used to work. We literally had it on like a television in the corner that we could all see. But it wasn't where our eyes are supposed to be for our computer screens. So I don't know how much work got done. To be honest, we were all just watching. It was England-Iran, which was what it was. So
okay.
There was
that was a good game as well. England scored a few against them.
Was it 6-2 in the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. So.
Anyway, next up, we have. I mean, this team really needs to worry about potentially being in the preliminary league, especially being a South American side. It's Bolivia.
Yeah, they've had to pre-qualify on a couple of occasions, which is kind of embarrassing for them because they are the only. Well, I think they're the only North or South American team that have ever had to participate in it, right? I'm pretty sure that's correct.
Well, they've never had to pre-qualify yet.
Have they not? I thought they did.
No.
Okay.
Also, apparently, according to official sources, Bermuda's part of South America.
Oh, okay.
Apparently, and I'm there going, I don't believe that.
I
refute
it's an
your
island
facts,
nation,
mate.
Yeah, it's an island nation, isn't it? So I don't know. It's tricky to say, but there you go.
I refute your facts, mate. That is not. It's not. it's South Central America. Knob off. But yeah, they do have to be careful because they are not far from it at this point.
Yeah, it's true. They have to keep their eyes open, don't they? They have to keep alert.
Certainly do. Next up, it is Curacao, who are now above Bolivia.
Wow.
In this game, Curacao isn't called Curacao. They are called the Netherland Antilles. So there we go.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to how Yugoslavia is now Serbia, Curacao, which for a while we believed was a name swap team, but obviously it's not. It's the same country, just with a different name.
Yeah.
Again, like Serbia to Yugoslavia. So
yeah. So
yeah.
I believe the person who let us know about that in the comments is Motorsport Mike, I believe their username was. So after a quick check myself, I was able to verify it. So thank you very much, Motorsport Mike, for that.
And now the Dutch Antilles, can they replicate what their the colonial overlords have done and win global trophies? Who knows?
No, probably.
Unlikely, I'd say. Yeah.
Yep. Next up, it is Haiti.
Yeah, they had some decent players back in the day, didn't they? I believe, was it, no, I'm thinking of Honduras, aren't I? With Wilson Palacios, but, there you go.
Yeah. Next up, it is, well, speaking of Honduras, there you go. Have you got any good players for this team, Sam?
From the past, yes, Wilson Palacios, former
Oh, wow,
Spurs,
I've never heard that name before.
Yeah, Spurs and Wigan player, I believe he was.
I believe I remember Palacios at Wigan at some point, yeah.
Yeah,
like
he
moved
moved
like
to
a really old
Spurs.
FIFA game or something.
Yeah, he moved to Spurs at one point, but he was pretty good. He was pretty good. He was the definition of a Barclaysman.
Next up, we have Jamaica.
Do you know who the managers of Jamaica these days, Chris? I don't know if you do. Do you know this? Have you seen about this online?
No, I haven't. I don't know. Edgar Davids. I don't know.
No, right? Do you want to know who it is?
Go on.
Steve McLaren.
Really?
Yeah, Steve McLaren is now the manager of Jamaica.
Do you remember when he managed 20 in the
And
Dutch
he had the Dutch accent, didn't he?
Yeah, and he tried to put on a Dutch accent. Don't try and do that as Jamaican manager.
It was really funny. He had
You could just imagine him just before a press conference, just saying beer can,
Yeah, man.
beer can,
Yeah.
beer can.
Yeah, so it is.
Dumbass.
So there was a rumor going around that they were interviewing Steve Bruce for the job, and then obviously it ended up going to Steve McLaren.
The worst
and
Steve.
Of course, yeah. I'd say McLaren's probably a better manager than Steve Bruce. But so Steve McLaren in his like opening interview was like, the interview was like, have you settled in? He goes, yeah, I've tried some jerk chicken. I'm still feeling the after effects now.
Oh God, well that's a great way to.
I kind of rate Jamaica are a fun team in today's footballing world. Obviously they've got players like Mikel Antonio, of course, as now plays for them. Leon Bailey for Aston Villa as well. So some really decent talent coming through.
Yeah, I do get that. I mean, it's just a shame for Jamaica, really, because McLaren couldn't even get England to a Euros. So what chance have they got?
Steve McLaren is not an inspiring choice. Let's say that much. For
No.
But let's see. I mean, let's face it. He's very qualified. He has done some great work in the past, but it was a long time ago now. Like he took Middlesbrough to the League Cup final and winning it, wasn't it? So let's see.
And that's sort of the equivalent of trying to get Harry Redknapp to join a very inspiring team with a lot of money. Poor Pompey. Next up, it is Chile.
They've kind of gone off the boil in recent years, haven't they, Chile?
I think probably Sanchez getting sort of like old and retiring, I think probably.
Yeah, I don't know if he still plays for Chile now. I think he might have retired now from international football. But they used to have like players like Gary Medel and Arturo Vidal and players like that, right? And obviously they've all kind of come and gone. But they were a brilliant footballing team at one point in the last 10 years, but not so much anymore, I guess.
Yeah, I mean they're below a lot of teams. For example, Peru is one of them.
Yeah, Peru. they've had some decent players over the years. Remember Nobby Solano? He was good, wasn't he?
Is his first name really Nobby?
Or Norberto.
Oh.
Everyone called him Nobby Solano. Yeah. Played for us, played for Villa, played for Newcastle at one point. I think he played for West Ham as well.
Fair enough. So next up, we have Canada.
They've kind of shot up through the rankings as well in recent years as well. They're a fun team to watch, certainly.
They got some great wingers, haven't they?
Yeah, well, they've got Jonathan David, of course, their striker.
Alphonso Davies.
Alphonso Davies, who apparently is going to Real Madrid next year, which is very exciting. But he's brilliant, isn't he, Alphonso Davies? He's rapid. He's so quick.
I think we made the comparison. If your last name starts in DAV, you're probably going to get into the Canadian team.
Yes, absolutely.
Edgar Davids becomes their manager. Please do that. David Beckham as assistant manager.
Wasn't he player manager for Barnet, Edgar Davids?
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. So. As someone who knows quite a lot about lower league football rather than like Premier League football and the popular stuff, I know a lot about lower league football because, you know, crews spent most of their time there. But yeah, Edgar Davids was a player manager at Barnet, and Barnet are still bad.
They are terrible. They're not good.
And they're still like Vanarama Conference, I think, at this point.
Yeah, I think they're in the National League now. Yeah.
Yeah. Next up, it is... Now, this team has shot up, I'd say, because they were at one point for a long time the lowest-ranked South American team. Piss off, Bermuda. Venezuela, but they've shot up.
Yeah, they've had some decent players come through the ranks as well in recent years of Venezuela, so ones to watch, certainly.
Certainly are when it comes to that. Next up, we have Panama.
Yeah, they were World Cup qualifiers in 2018. Of course, England beat them, was it 5-1?
Yep.
Feels like a long time ago now, though. That does. It was 6 years ago. Crazy.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. Ugh. Next up, it is... I almost put El Salvador in. They turn up later. It's Ecuador.
Ecuador, of course, historically have had some very good players as well. The Valencias, not related, Antonio and Enna, both related. But they've got some good players coming through now as well. Moises Caicedo at Chelsea, obviously. A lot of money spent on him by Chelsea. And Kendry Paez as well. No, I know.
It's Chelsea. They're going to spend money.
Yeah, and as a Kendry Paez from the same, I think it's from the same team in Ecuador, has been signed by Chelsea as well. He's very good. He's a 18-year-old. He's really talented.
Chelsea, we've got Chris Long. He's an amazing player. He's an amazing young player. Please buy him for 20 million.
Sort all of our finances out, please.
Sam, he's actually like 35, but don't tell him.
All right. Shh.
Also, he missed a bloody goal against Crawley in the final, in the bloody playoff final. He should have just bloody scored it, and he didn't score it, and instead, he tried to get a penalty by diving, and he didn't get the penalty. He should have just bloody scored it, because he was one-on-one with the keeper, and he's away from everyone else, and he should have scored, and he did, and I was at the pub, and I was pissed off at that one. And then he signed a new contract with us. What the hell? Chris Long. You bloody act together.
Leave.
You could have got us in the League One. Actually, no. It's a good thing you didn't get us in the League One. We'd have gotten trounced.
I was saying League One's a tough league to get out of this year, isn't it? The 24-25 season. There's lots of good teams in there.
Apparently, according to Crew, it's a tough league to get into as well.
No, you don't want to be in there. You don't have to deal with Stockport again and Wrexham again and Blues and Bolton and all those kind of teams.
Yeah.
You don't want to have to deal with them.
Yeah, we do. We want to rip up Edgeley Park again. We want to ruin their toilet, their one and only toilet. That's what we want to do. Rip up a couple of seats, you know. Means they can't buy another player. We should probably do that at Wrexham, actually. Then they could probably do that instead, the bloody money-grabbing bastards. So next up is Mexico.
Mexico, former finalists even of the Global Trophy in 2017. Missing out on the title on that occasion to France. Of course, one of our top 30 teams, I believe. They've got a graphic going on at the moment, I think, maybe?
Indeed we have. Also, they've won America.
They have. They have one trophy to their name. They have the 2013 America's title to their name. They won it, one time only, which is quite an achievement, considering back then, I believe it was still only 4 teams qualified from the Americas, so that was a much more competitive league back then, or tournament back then. So well done to Mexico, but of the past, it's been a while though since they've actually done anything of significance, hasn't it?
Yeah, certainly is. And next up, I'm going to say this now, right? I think probably the most underachieving team.
Really?
Well,
other than England, maybe.
Yeah, maybe other than England. It's Uruguay.
Yeah, no trophies to their name, ever.
Not in the top 30.
Nope. Yeah, it's a bit of a mad one, isn't it, for Uruguay? That they're always, they tend to qualify, but like only since the additional 4 spaces have been granted to the Americas. So work to do for Uruguay. Maybe this will be their year.
You never know on that one. Well, it was England's year, so maybe Uruguay will get there as well. Next up, well, they're looking to bounce back, aren't they, from their very poor performance last year, but they are still the Global Trophy ranked number 1. They are the FIFA ranked number 1. I mean, it's Argentina, isn't it? Of course it is.
It is indeed Argentina, of course. They failed to get out of the Americas qualifiers last time, knocked out by Paraguay, I believe it was.
Yes, it was.
But Argentina, they are America's champions on several occasions. They won in 2005, 2006, 2008, 2010, 2012, 2014, 2016, 19, 20, 23, and 22. They are Global Trophy champions on 3 occasions, and they are the current Global Trophy champion of champions as well, winning in 2022. So, just a few wins on the board for Argentina, a few trophies here and there, nothing special, and watch them decimate their way through the competition.
Well, you never know on that one. Also, they are the only team to have won over 100 matches in the main Global Trophy competition.
Still the only team. I think the next closest is now Italy because of their European title.
Yeah, I think Italy's got like 96 and Nigeria's got 95.
Yeah, so they're both very close, but not quite there yet.
Oh,
maybe they can get over.
On like 120 odd. I don't have the stats thing up, but you can see the stats thing right now. But yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy performance from Argentina over the years.
Yep, 11-time America's champions, and well, with Australia's early elimination in this tournament, is it Argentina's time to get that to get the trophy haul record back?
It could be.
Certainly could be. Well, next up, we're getting into our top 8 teams that qualified for the Global Trophy Finals last year, and we kick off with the team that finished 8th out of those, the team that beat Argentina in that round of 16, Paraguay.
Yeah, Paraguay, former America's champions themselves back in 2009, so, over 16 years ago now. Paraguay won the America section. Since then, they've kind of not really pushed on, but as I said, last year, got that giant scalp beating Argentina, didn't they? So, maybe a bit of a turn in performance for them.
Yep, certainly did. They didn't go any further, though. They were beaten by Colombia in the quarterfinals. Next up, a team that you'd expect to do well, and they did. They made it to the top 8, but they were knocked out by El Salvador in the quarterfinals, something not to be expected from the USA.
Yeah, the USA never actually won the Americas title, by the way. And another one of those teams that have never won a trophy but have been consistently strong. And maybe they've got another chance to do that this year again. But they've never won a trophy. They'll be hoping that changes this year.
Certainly will. Next up, it's our last Saints, because they did make it through to the Global Trophy Finals last time round. They were defeated by Costa Rica in the quarterfinals last time. It's St. Lucia.
Yes, St. Lucia, of course, went from preliminaries to Global Trophies, which is what we always love to see happen. The underdogs succeeding, where given the opportunity to compete where they wouldn't normally get a chance to, and they managed to make it through just fine. Will they be able to continue any further than that this year? It's going to be tough. It's going to have to rely on the draw, but St. Lucia will be one to watch out for this time.
Certainly will. Next up, it took Brazil to beat them in the past. But yeah, they were the dud in the Global Trophy Finals last time round. It is Belize.
If they qualify this year, though, they won't be. So that's got to be their aim, surely, hasn't it?
Yeah, to make back-to-back qualifications, it would certainly be it'd certainly be great for Belize to do that, because their FIFA rankings, that's going to plummet them right back into the preliminary league if they don't do this. Same with St. Lucia.
Yeah, work to do for Belize, but they could do it. You never know.
Certainly. And next up, we get to our teams that made it to the semi-finals last time round of the Americas section, kicking off with the ever-consistent Colombia.
Yep, consistency. Colombia is the name of the game, and as we said, they've made it to the semi-finals of the Americas section on multiple occasions. Never won a trophy as well. They are the highest-ranked team, I believe, in the global trophy period that have never won a single trophy. That just kind of shows how consistently strong they are.
Yes, they are. There's only 2 teams in the top 20 that have never won a trophy. Colombia is the higher-ranked one. The lower-ranked one is South Korea. And really, when it comes to last year, they lost to Costa Rica. Was that their chance?
Yeah, they should have beaten Costa Rica. They could have beaten Brazil. They've done it before, so that was a goal opportunity missed, wasn't it? The Argentines were out. They've made the final on several occasions in America, but have never took the title. But maybe this year, maybe they can rectify that error.
Just maybe. Next up, another surprise, a surprise team to make it into the top 4, finishing 3rd, losing out to Brazil in the semi-finals. It's El Salvador.
Yeah, they had a great run, didn't they, last time around, El Salvador. They didn't quite have as good a run as our semi-finalist, as our finalist did, which we'll get onto in just a second. But, an amazing fairy tale run for El Salvador. But, when you come up against a team like Brazil, it's kind of difficult to beat them, isn't it, really?
Certainly is, but they did beat the USA, who made it the top 8 in the Global Trophy Finals last year, in the top 8 of the qualifiers. So it's a very, very good result for El Salvador there.
Yep.
Next up, runner-up of the Global Trophy Americas qualifiers last year. Again, another shocker. It's Costa Rica.
They had an amazing run, didn't they? All the way to the finals of the American section. Nobody ever thought, they could have done it. But, yeah, what a run from Costa Rica. They couldn't quite get it over the line because, well, the winners were Brazil, of course, last year in the Americas section, for their 4th time. But, Costa Rica, what a fairy tale. I wonder if they can repeat that this time.
Yeah, I mean, the South America killers, they beat Paraguay in the quarterfinals, they beat Colombia in the semifinals. But yeah, they lost out to our reigning Global Trophy America's champions, Argentina. No, wait, I'm too used to saying that. It's Brazil.
To be fair, Argentina have won, what is it, 5, 6, 7...
11, I believe.
Yeah, 11 titles in America, which is unbelievable. Brazil have only won 5. No, sorry, they've won 4. So they're the next most successful team in the Americas after Argentina. And yeah, the fact that they've only won barely a third of their titles is kind of incredible, really, isn't it? But they are also 2-time Global Trophy champions as well.
Yep, and the first ever champion of champions back in 2018.
Absolutely. Don't forget to save state.
Already done.
Well done, mate. I'm proud of you.
We still don't need it! It's going to be the final, isn't it?
Of course it is. Absolutely, of course it is. Well, so here's our draw. It's some big hitters up this end, aren't there? There really are some big hitters.
Brazil, Argentina in the first half of the bracket, but they can both qualify.
They can indeed. Colombia and Uruguay in the first round together is a tough one. Brazil, Chile in the first round is a tough one as well. Jamaica get the bye, but they will likely play Argentina in the next round, which is kind of tough as well.
Yeah, unless Canada can stop them. Well, should we kick off with this?
This is very exciting. Yeah,
Brazil, the reigning champions of the Americas, will take on Chile.
Yep, former 2-time winners in 2011 and 2021, and Brazil, of course, winning in 2015, 17, 18, and 24.
Well, Brazil off to a great start. 3-0 against Chile to make it through to round 2.
Well, I did say Brazil would win the whole global trophy, so I feel pretty relieved that they managed to get past a potential banana skin in Chile. Chile, of course, now 2 years in a row, no qualification. That'll hurt them.
Certainly will. Bolivia versus Bermuda. Interesting one, this. Bermuda, of course, only lost 1 in the preliminary league. Bolivia, a team in the FIFA rankings at least, certainly on the decline.
Yep, we'll have to see how they get on. They might be playing each other in the preliminary leagues in a few years' time, but at the moment they're playing each other in the global trophy round of 32.
It is Bolivia through 2-0 to take on Brazil for a shot in the finals.
Yep, absolutely good start for Bolivia. Mexico take on the preliminary league winners, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. A tough challenge for our league winners.
Certainly is. You'd certainly expect Mexico to be the favourites here in this match. And they are 8-0 Mexico.
That's a crushing defeat for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Back down in your box to the preliminary league winners. They're out. Panama and Paraguay next up.
Two shockers of past. It's gonna be interesting to see which one of them will take on the giants of this part of the bracket, Mexico, in round 2. And it is gonna be Paraguay. They are through. Panama out at this stage.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for Panama. They will go home with nothing. Jamaica are going to get the bye win over St. Kitts and Nevis. So, fair play to Jamaica. Not managed by Steve McLaren in this universe, because at this point in time, I believe Steve McLaren was Sven-Göran Eriksson's assistant, wasn't he, in England? No. Or was he still at Man United at this point? I can't remember.
It might be.
Oh, it's RJ flipping Fernandez again.
I think it's because it's a new recording session. I think I'm right in it. Actually, no, I think I'm right in this instance. It gives you RJ Fernandez first. I think that's why he pops up so often.
Could be.
Which means, yes, RJ Fernandez must have had a hand in making this game. It's like, yeah, I want to be first all the time. It's another little wrinkle in the old RJ Fernandez conspiracy, I think.
Maybe. RJ, if you're out there, get in touch. We'd love to interview you.
Did you shoot that coach driver from the Faroe Islands? It's just going to be like an hour of us trolling some poor guy who's there going, I don't even remember making this game. It was that long ago. Right.
Well.
Argentina versus Canada. Winner will go through to take on Jamaica in the round of 16.
Yeah, I think the favourites here have got to be Argentina, surely.
Surely you'd expect so. 5-0. Big win for Argentina. They will take on Jamaica in the round of 16. A much easier clash than Paraguay, I'd say.
Yeah, I think so. I think definitely it'd be a bit of a shock if they weren't to go through, wouldn't it? Really, let's face it. They've got a great opportunity. Belize and Cuba next up, then.
Yep. A former preliminary team from 1 year ago versus a team that, well, they've qualified for the last 2 qualifiers, but don't want to go through that again, maybe? It's going to be interesting to see who goes through the next round here.
I think it'd be a struggle for either of them to get past the winner of the next game, but let's see.
Certainly would be. You never know. It is Cuba, 2-0. Belize out in the first round, which means more than likely they will have to go back to the preliminary league for next year.
Cuba are on an amazing run considering they were a pre-qualifier. Amazing stuff. Colombia and Uruguay. Our last match of this half of the bracket.
Yep, the ever consistent Colombia versus the very underperforming Uruguay. And they're out again. It's Colombia through 2-0 to the second round to take on Cuba.
The Colombia consistency continues. They will take on Cuba in the round of 16 for a place in the Global Trophy Finals. Guyana start off the second half of the bracket here, taking on Venezuela.
Interesting one here. Guyana, who finished 7th. They're technically the lowest ranked team left in this tournament. Versus Venezuela. A sort of middle of the table team. It is Venezuela 4-0 into the next round, and they'll take on either Haiti or El Salvador. Now that is interesting.
Yeah, it is. I think probably El Salvador the favourites considering the recent history, but Haiti are no pushovers.
Yep, Haiti have recently, 2 years ago, made it to the Global Trophy Finals. El Salvador made it last year. And is El Salvador this year scrappy, but they did get the penalty win over Haiti to set up a round 2 tie with Venezuela.
Yep, potential for them to go through once again to be a tough match between the two of them. St. Lucia take on America next up. Of course, America did make it last time, as did St. Lucia, so one of these two will not make it this year to the Global Trophy Finals, guaranteed.
Yep, both made it. Both were knocked out in the quarterfinals last time round at this in the Americas qualifiers. The USA, one of our top 8 altogether. And they are through 5-0. And they'll take on either Barbados or the runner-up of the qualifiers last year, Costa Rica.
Yep, the runners-up of the preliminary league this year, Barbados, will be hoping that they can get past Costa Rica, but it's not going to be an easy task, is it?
Certainly isn't. Costa Rica win 4-0, and that sets up Aruba versus Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah, Aruba, of course, did so well in pre-qualifying, but Trinidad and Tobago generally pretty good at this stage.
Yep, just barely able to scrape past not having to be in the preliminary league on FIFA rankings. We may have to see them in there at some point. Ah, oh, such a shame for Aruba. Trinidad and Tobago through on penalties to the second round.
Where they will play either Guatemala or Peru. Peru, of course, have been pretty decent in the past. They've qualified more often than not, I think.
Yep, Guatemala, on the other hand, they have had their successes, but long time ago, those. It is Peru, 3-0 into the next round, and next is Honduras versus El Salvador. Interesting one, this.
Ecuador.
Oh, sorry, Ecuador, sorry. Yeah. Sorry, I say Honduras and El Salvador, and you just mix the two together. Well, it starts in E and ends in R, you know, easy mistake to make.
Absolutely. Ecuador, of course, former America's champions in their own right. They won back in 2007. 17 years ago now, 18 years ago now.
So this Honduras would love to get to round 2 since their rivals El Salvador have done that. They're not going to, though. It's 2-0 to Ecuador, and that sets up Curacao versus Grenada.
Yeah, the final match of our round of 32. Curacao taking on Grenada. Grenada, of course, had to pre-qualify. Curacao did not.
Yep, FIFA ranked currently 86. It is Grenada through to the second round. Curacao is out.
There are only one team left, I believe, from the preliminary qualifiers that are through, and that is that Grenada win right at the end there. Sorry,
Cuba.
And Cuba. Sorry, I take it back. But so far, every single local qualifier has seen one team go through.
That's a strong second round.
It really is. I tell you what, if all the big teams, let's say if Brazil, Mexico, Argentina, Colombia, Venezuela, the US, Peru, and Ecuador go through, that's a staggeringly strong lineup for the US, for the Americas.
That certainly is, and to be honest, the European lineup is not that strong. The Asian lineup is weak as piss.
Yep.
The African lineup's quite strong as well. So
let's see how they go though. But Brazil and Bolivia to kick things off. Brazil, of course, our current America's champions, beat Chile in the first round. Bolivia made it. I can't believe they made it past. It was there's a pre-qualifying team, wasn't it?
Yep. Yeah, I can't remember either. I've slept since then. It is Brazil 6-1 through to another global trophy finals for them.
Great result for Brazil and back-to-back qualifications. They'll be very happy with that.
Mexico looking to qualify. I don't think they qualified in a couple of years of Mexico, so this is probably their best chance to do so.
Yep, Paraguay, of course, the shockers of last year, knocked Argentina out. Can they knock Mexico out here?
Yep, at this stage, they haven't. Mexico is back in the global trophy finals, 3-0.
Good result for Mexico here. Jamaica taking on Argentina. Well, this would be the ultimate of all upsets, wouldn't it, if the Jamaicans were able to beat Argentina, the global trophy ranked #1.
We currently have, with Brazil going through, we have 4 global trophy champions through to the finals. Can Argentina make it the final definitive 5? Yes, they can. Argentina back in the global trophy finals, 3-0 win.
Where they belong.
Yeah, where they belong. The champion of champions back in the global trophy finals. So 5. We're going to have 5 former champions in the global trophy finals this year.
We are indeed. Cuba taking on Colombia. Colombia, of course, the consistent machine that they are, taking on the pre-qualifiers Cuba.
Yep, the starlets of the pre-qualifiers. Oh, so close for Cuba, but Colombia will make it to another one.
Oh, that's such a shame. Cuba, valiant effort for them, but eliminated at this stage by Colombia on penalties.
Really valiant effort from Cuba there, but it just was not to be, and probably back to the preliminary leagues for them again. Colombia through, ever consistent Colombia, to another global trophy finals.
That's 4 done. We have 4 more spots to fill for our global trophy finals. Venezuela and El Salvador.
Right now, it does
one?
not look good for Namibia.
It does not at all, because I think if any of these teams go through, pretty much apart from maybe Grenada, Namibia will be our dud team.
Certainly will. Venezuela versus El Salvador, though, is first up. El Salvador have knocked out Venezuela, making it to consecutive global trophy finals. Venezuela's gone.
That's a brilliant result for El Salvador. Venezuela go home with nothing. That's a shocker for me.
Certainly is. Can Costa Rica do the same? They have got the USA, who lost to El Salvador in the quarterfinals last time round. That could set up a rematch if they win. But Costa Rica, of course, they shocked last year. Can they do it again?
One of these teams made it, well, both these teams made it through to the top 8 last year. Of course, Costa Rica were runners-up last year. Can they make it through again? It'll be a tough ask against the US.
Yep, US, one of our top 8 teams in the global trophy finals last year. Not this time! Costa Rica's done it again!
Unbelievable. Costa Rica are through and the US go home. Do not make it through to the Global Trophy this time.
Mexico are through. The USA are out. That's got to sting.
Absolutely. It really does. That's a shame for the US, but Costa Rica, what a rich vein of form they found.
Brilliant vein of form for them. We go to our next match, Trinidad and Tobago versus Peru. Can Trinidad and Tobago do this?
It'd be the upset of the bracket, surely, if they managed it.
Certainly would be. It's not. Peru, 4-0 into the Global Trophy Finals. I think Costa Rica's made it to a fair few Global Trophy Finals, so unless Grenada beats Ecuador, I think we're quite certain that Namibia's going to be our dud for the final.
So Ecuador, probably the red-hot favourites, the former America's champions back in 2007.
Grenada, 4th in the preliminary league. It is Ecuador, 2-1. They are through to the Global Trophy Finals, so that's a very stacked top 8, and I think that pretty much certainly consigns Namibia to being our dud in a week's time.
It's a shame for them, but, you know, they've made it to one Global Trophy now, so they'll have a little bit extra potential should they do so again in 2026 or beyond. But we've got an America's champion to find.
That's a stacked first half.
Those top 4 are probably the best 4 teams in the Americas. I think it's fair to say.
But then the bottom four,
it's a wild card, isn't it? It's an absolute wild card, isn't it?
Yeah. Brazil versus Mexico. Big match here between two teams who are formerly America's champions. Brazil, of course, the current 4-time champions.
Yep, Mexico won it back in 2013, 11 years ago. Can they rekindle some of that form?
Can they? No, Brazil through to the semi-finals. This is setting up Argentina-Brazil again, but can Colombia stop Argentina at the quarter-final stage?
The machine that is Argentina against the consistency of Colombia. Who takes the second semi-final spot?
Big clash. It is Colombia! Argentina out! But they will make it through to the finals, but Argentina are not going to be taking a 12th.
Wow, I'm stunned. Colombia with
Is this their year?
Victory. It could be. They've beaten one of the powerhouses. Let's find out who else will be joining them in the semis, though. El Salvador were quarter-finalists. No, they were semi-finalists last year. Costa Rica were finalists. Can they do it again? Either of these two?
Yep. Third place versus second place. Both teams met their end to Brazil last time round. It is Costa Rica into the semi-finals again.
What a run for Costa Rica. Have just suddenly woken up in the last 2 years, haven't they? They won a Global Trophy champion of Champions Birth.
Yeah, they are very well on their way to doing that after these performances. Peru versus Ecuador is next.
Ecuador, of course, the 2007 champions of the Americas. Peru have never won the Americas title.
It is Peru 1-0, so we are going to have a team that has never won a title in the finals. The only team that has won titles is Brazil, and they've got Colombia, who knocked Argentina out in the previous stage.
Can they do it again? This would be an almighty run from Colombia if they manage to beat Brazil here.
It might be one of the greatest runs in Global Trophy history if Colombia can beat Brazil here and get to the finals. No, Brazil do make it to the finals. They're looking for their 5th. We could have a repeat of last year.
We could. Peru are the only thing in the way of Costa Rica getting a repeat final from last year, taking on Brazil. Brazil have gone back-to-back before, though. Can they do it again?
They certainly could. It is Peru this time, though. Peru into the finals.
So Brazil gunning for their 5th America's title to go, I mean, almost halfway towards matching Argentina's total. But Peru aiming for their first title to be the first new winner of an America's title since Brazil back in 2015.
Peru looking to get their first ever. No, Brazil are going to win their 5th America section. A purple patch of dominance for Brazil.
And Brazil book their place again in the Global Trophy Finals. I tipped them to win it before the competition. I'm feeling pretty smug at the moment, have to say. But, I mean, what a run from Brazil. They didn't put a foot wrong, did they?
No, great performance for Brazil there. They beat Mexico, beat Colombia. I think it could have been different if they fought Argentina, but Colombia sorted them out. But Brazil have now won their 2nd consecutive America section. And another bad run, really, for Argentina. But at least they made it through. Maybe they're saving it up for the final.
Yeah, they tend to do quite well once they actually qualify. You know, they've won 11 out of, 20. So they've got a 50% win rate. But I will say one thing, though. Brazil, or no team in the Americas, in fact, have ever gone 3 titles back-to-back.
Brazil could be on for it next year.
that would be a massive sting for Argentina if they weren't able to do so, and Brazil were the first ones to ever do it. But, Brazil have done what they can this time, and they go through as probably one of the favourites into the Global Trophy Finals next week. I can't wait.
They certainly are when it comes to that. So, these teams will join Namibia, Afghanistan, Vietnam, the Republic of Ireland, Egypt, Angola, Kenya, Kuwait, Gabon, England, Malaysia, India, Ivory Coast, Russia, China, Iran, Croatia, Senegal, South Korea, Nigeria, Italy, Germany, Spain, and the Netherlands in the 21st Global Trophy Final. That is going to be an interesting one. Is this the year that Europe doesn't win?
I think this is the chance, surely, because, let's face it, the Americas and Africa have both got really good lineups, and Europe, I think they've got some good teams in there. Don't get me wrong, the Netherlands are the champions still. They hold the trophy.
Yep, Spain,
Italy,
Germany, Italy as well, but
yeah, of course.
But it's not an incredibly stacked lineup. I mean, that's 4 great teams.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see, though. This is it's the most wide open trophy we've had in a long time, and Europe has never. They've not been troubled on YouTube, certainly. And when was the last time a non-European team won? Is it 10 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it would be
Argentina, the last one to do it. Yeah, 2015.
It'd be Brazil in 2015.
It was Argentina in 15.
Oh yeah, Argentina in 15. Yeah, because it was Brazil in 14, wasn't it?
Correct.
Yeah. So Argentina in 2015 was the last time a non-European team won the global trophy. This could be the year.
It could be. I think I'm still backing my boys Brazil. I think they're going to do. I think they're going to go unbeaten here, but a long way to go yet. We've got a lot of matches still to play. I can't wait. I think it's going to be very exciting.
We certainly do. Well, the preliminaries were done last month. This month, we have finished our qualifiers. Next week, we finish the tournament. The 21st Global Trophy comes to an end next week. Same time, same day, just a week apart. We'll see you next week for the Global Trophy Finals of 2025. I'm Masterath.
Up in Summer 64.
We'll see you then.